Hey everyone, and welcome to the new video. So Saints Row hosted an AMA on Discord, and they gave us tons of details. So what I'm going to do basically is talk to you about all the important things that they released here. I'm going to put the more important stuff at the beginning of the video, and it will basically lead off into the more obscure questions. I'm going to try and cover everything that is actually important and miss out any of the non-important stuff. So if you see the gameplay kind of jump backwards and forwards here, it's because I'm trying my hardest to make it easier for you guys to know the actual important details, but I am going to basically be reading them in order. That way, it's easier for me to record the video, but also format it for you guys. So again, any gameplay jumping around, it's going to be kind of weird because I'm doing it live again. So someone asked, is there a new headquarter or new interiors? So the answer is yes. With the heist and the hazardous, you'll be able to unlock an all-new HQ for the Saints, which is great. They also said, we've created some new interiors for missions, but we aren't adding any additional building interiors around the world. So basically, what we have in the reboot is what to expect in a DLC when it comes to interiors, which is kind of sucky, but we are getting a new crib. What they mean by this basically is that in missions, yes, there will be interiors, obviously, because if you're heisting, you need to be inside, but they're not going to be adding like a crazy amount to the open world, which is fine, I guess. So next up, we have a really important question. Will there be cheat codes? And the answer, delightfully, is yes. There is going to be a handy new phone app for you to make some cheat selections. Look for this in our Murder Circus update. So cheats have been something people have been requesting for ages at this point, and to see them finally coming, it is just beyond great news. Super happy to see that. That's probably some of the best news I've read so far going through these questions. Will we get a new criminal venture? No, is the answer. I don't mind that. I thought Criminal Ventures were kind of mid. They're adding tons of different side modes and stuff anyway, so I don't really care about Criminal Ventures coming back. Someone asked, will we get any new Saint members? They answered, the core Saints Row crew will remain the same. But we do have some new characters we're introducing in the expansion packs. You'll even get to play as some of them. Wait, I don't know what to say about that. Apparently we're going to play as new characters now? That's certainly interesting to see. Someone asked, are we going to be getting mission or cutscene replay? And they basically said they can't because of a technical limitation, even if they wanted to. So that kind of sucks, but honestly, I kind of expected that. I feel like it's a very easy thing to implement if you can implement it, and I don't see why they wouldn't if they could have done it in the first place. Someone asked, will there be any activities like racing, fuzz, escort, etc.? The answer is, we created a new event called the Kaijuice Challenge, which will be part of the DLC that adds some fun wingsuit challenges. So I think what they mean by that basically is no, those activities definitely aren't coming back, but what we are adding is wingsuit racing, which is pretty cool in its own way. Someone asked, do the improvements mentioned in the roadmap refer to bug fixes, or are they specifically to new features / quality of life changes? The answer is all of the above. Bug fixing is in progress to smooth out the player experience. With a full open world like Saints Row, there are so many systems interacting with each other, issues can arise unexpectedly. But rest assured, we are working hard to get through as many as we are, blah, 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 blah. We're trying to fix the game and make it better. That is the long story short there. Obviously, that's good to hear. I think we can kind of expect a lot of bug fixes to be out when this first update comes out. I'm hoping that when the May update's out, the game is practically flawless when it comes to bugs. I want challenges to track, etc., etc. It should be fine, though. Someone said, could you make vehicles added to the DLC be able to spawn over the city and be used in traffic? The answer is the new DLC vehicles will only be available in your garage. Bit of a bummer, I won't lie, but they do follow up with we have some fun cheats planned that will let you affect vehicle spawning. Look for that as part of the Murder Circus update. So it seems like the Murder Circus update is actually going to be quite a big one if we're getting cheats and sort of vehicles spawning around the place. Someone asked, will we be able to enter buildings? And the answer seemed kind of, I don't know, how do I put it, deflecty. They put, we really want players to get out about in Santo Aleso and find activities to take part in. If we allowed you to go into every building, you would miss out on the fun of roaming the streets looking for trouble. This is the long, overcomplicated answer for, no, we don't. We don't have many enterable buildings in this DLC. Sorry about that. I heard apparently it's basically due to an engine limitation. I don't know why they don't really comment on this, because I feel like a bit of clarity would be great. I do think they had a lot of clarity in this whole thing, though, so I'm not really complaining too much. But I definitely wish they added slightly more clarity when it comes to interiors. Will there be different walking animations? So, basically what they say here is we're adding more emotes that have walk styles, but not actual walking animations. I'm trying to cut down as many of these questions as I can, because they kind of give long-winded answers that say a very simple thing. But if you want a more, like, detailed look into it, I would just go and actually read through the questions. They're all in the server, or my server, if you want to go and take a look at that. So they asked, will there be new hairstyles, vehicles, aircraft, and watercrafts, and will there be new materials like water and ice? The answer is we have lots of fun toys to play with through our updates and expansions. It's unlikely though you'll see any rivers freeze over in Santo Aleso. The weather is too good for that. So they didn't really elaborate too much on that, unfortunately, but I feel like what they're getting at is yes to some, no to others. So I guess that's fine. Something is better than nothing, I guess. Mark asked, will there be any new emotes with dialogue instead of it just being an action? The answer was no, but it is something we'd like to actually add because it's a cool enhancement. I think that's something we could perhaps see in a sequel if we ever get one. Will there be an update for wildlife in the game to spawn more frequently? And the answer is no, those coyotes are super cagey and rarely seen. I actually kind of like that. Obviously more wildlife would be great, but realistically I kind of like that it's a really rare appearance and it adds a bit of fun and mystery when you're traveling through the desert. So no big deal to me on that one, although of course more wildlife would be cool. I feel like this is one that people are definitely going to want at the start of the video, so I'm going to do my best to put this at the start for you guys. Someone asked, will we get a 1 and 2 remaster? Saints Row related, of course. The answer is we have no plans to remaster Saints Row 1 and 2. We are working on a PC patch/update for Saints Row 2, not a remaster, but it's on Steam. We don't have any news to share on that currently. I suppose one way to look at this is that's disappointing, we still got no information, but I also think a way to look at it perhaps is at least they're addressing it and talking about it, and they're not kind of shying away from it. They did straight up just say that they are working on it, I guess, so that's something. Will Saints Row release on Steam, and can you tell us the release? Saints Row is absolutely coming out on Steam, but we'll confirm the details and availability at a later date in the year. You're going to be hearing that later date in the year a lot, I feel. Do we get more wilderness areas surrounding Sunshine Springs? And the answer is no, it's more of a small town, think of Hollywood and Palm Springs. So basically, less desert, more city. I feel like that's something people have asked for a while, so that's not a bad thing at all. Will character customization be affected? New sliders, head presets, blah blah blah. And they basically said no, they're kind of proud of what they have right now, and they just basically want to add more wearables and clothing items, opposed to messing with that, which I don't mind. I think the character creation is actually quite good in this game. So this is a big one. Are there any plans to support modding, Steam Workshop kind of stuff? And basically, can that mean anything from models to textures to community story, mission content, or player design cars? Basically, are we getting mod support and how diverse is it? And the answer is, modding is something that we always wanted on our roadmap of features we'd like to support. Right now our focus is on the Steam edition of the game and the remaining DLC. That right there to me, by the way, screams that they're not adding mods till it's on Steam, which makes sense because of the workshop, so I think modding support would be coming after that. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice right now, but they basically said, what is this new events entry we got a glimpse at during the map readability teaser? And the answer was, good eye, the Heist and Hazardous introduces the wingsuit event, and we've made a new category for it. So apparently there's no crazy events, it's just more of the wingsuit thing so you can keep track of where things are. That's fine, I guess. Not really the biggest deal in the world, but not really the smallest thing. It'll be a nice thing to add to the map, I suppose. This question is, how big is Sunshine Springs? And the answer is basically the exact same as other districts, but it is a long drive out, so make sure you get that fast travel snap thing done immediately. I agree, if it's going to be at the very edge of the map, you're going to want to make sure you've got that fast travel going there. I'm going to have to kind of like cut through a few of these now because there's lots of questions that people are going to want me to mention in this video, but there's so many answered here. They spent 2 hours answering it. I'm going to be reading all day, so I'm going to try and just limit it to the important stuff, okay? I'm so glad I get to say this. Will the aiming be fixed? And the answer is yes. It took some digging, but we were able to find the bugs that were basically making it not act how we wanted it to act. So what this is telling me is that they're not doing a drastic overhaul to the aiming system in general, but they're actually just going to make what aiming system we do have currently feel a lot more smooth. Will we be able to get a new game plus? And the answer is basically no new game plus this time around. That kind of sucks. I'd personally have loved to have seen that. Someone asked, are there any more weather states coming in the future? And the answer is yes, a couple more are, but rain is not one of them. Will you be able to make the Saints grunts follow us like the previous game? And the answer is basically no. You can call your friends from the contacts app and you can use the perk to have them come, but no normal traditional sort of system for that, which I think is a big bummer personally. This one's quite a long one, so bear with me here, and I'm going to try not to mess this up whilst reading it. The question is, can you elaborate on the overhaul of the combat system? I'm actually going to stop playing here for a second so I can read this because it's quite a paragraph. And they said, significant changes have been made to combat. We heard a lot of feedback about the amount of damage needed to down enemies and we agreed. Combatant health has been drastically reduced. This change, combined with several aim and engagement improvements, increases the pace of combat and reduces the ammo starvation. We have also made several changes to the enemy dodges since those would sometimes feel unfair. The last major change is regarding the time players had to interrupt the callings for reinforcements. It was too short, so we adjusted them to be longer on all difficulty levels. Numerous additional changes and bug fixes detailed below are included in this update. Overall, the combat feels so much more satisfying, and we can't wait for everyone to get their hands on it. So this is really good. They basically say that the aiming is improved, but on top of that, that weird dodge thing that Flippy mentioned in his review, that's not there either. Ammo starvation's not going to be there. The calling system is basically going to be way better. Enemies will be less tanky. It's overall quite nice, and it's going to feel a lot more like the traditional games by the looks of things. Someone said, are there going to be more hidden history areas or even a proper museum somewhere? And the answer is hidden histories will be added to the city. I don't have an exact count, but I can say it is more than one. They are way more fun for us to add flavor and some histories in these areas. So that's pretty cool. Okay, there are so many questions here. I am actually going to have to kind of speed through a lot of these lengthier ones here because I'm going to be here all day. But I recommend you all go and read through them yourself because there is just tons and tons and tons. So what I'm going to do now is just basically list off the questions I asked personally, and you guys can let me know what you think of my questions, and I think that that's going to do it because this is literally all I can muster to write. This video project's going to take forever to edit. So I asked, is the DLC going to be in line tonally with the rest of the game? Or would you say it goes for a more grounded approach? Or on the flip side, is it more wacky and out there? Specifically the heist and hazardous, as it sounds interesting to me. They said, great question. We took an asymmetrical approach with the DLC. A balance between grounded, wacky, and badass. Each pack lands strongly in one of those camps, and we collectively think this gives everyone a bit of what they want. That is, honestly, that is pretty okay with me. Listen to what they say here. They basically say each pack lands strongly in one of those camps. So quite frankly, prepare for some of these packs to not be more serious and some of them to be less wacky. What this basically screams to me is that the heist and hazardous is going to be the serious pack, the weird island one or whatever it's called, the murder circus, is going to be the more badass pack, and then the LARPing, which they're not telling us LARPing, but it is definitely LARPing, is going to be the more wacky pack. That's great. As long as it's given a healthy balance and everyone will have something to play, I'm okay with that. I asked how far the customization is going to be expanded, and they basically said it's going to be expanded via more options and choice for your wardrobe, weapons, and vehicles. But no additional changes are coming to the core systems for customization, which is fine. More options, the better. I don't think you need an overhaul at all. So I asked, how would it work if a player has DLC and his co-op partner doesn't? Will the missions just be unavailable, or will they be unable to join the game whilst the member has the content installed? Just like Saints Row 2, when you can't play old saves if you had DLC content on them. The answer was, that is correct. The player will have to own the DLC mission pack to join you in the missions. The district is free though, so you can be in the world and go around no matter what. There's no limits there. So basically, just the content in the DLC requires both people to own. So that's fine. Basically what it's saying is you won't have any interruptions if you're just trying to play with your friend, only if you're trying to do DLC missions with your friends, which makes sense. I said, are you able to elaborate on DLC 3, LARPing, at all? Concept art shows more LARPing-orientated approach. Could you confirm this? And I feel like to avoid any backlash here, they basically just said, we'll talk more about DLC 3 later this year. By the way, Jim Boone answered that question. I don't know whether it's a fanboy or fangirl. I put, one issue users are having is challenges not tracking. Is this something that's being worked on, included with the quality of life changes for the first update, or is this a fix later down the line? And the answer was, the challenge tracking is something we have worked on for the update next week. So challenges should hopefully be fixed next week, which is great. Now look, there are tons of questions here I would love to answer, and I want to say a real big thank you right now to Mark. He's a moderator in my server, and he transcribed all these questions for our server as well, and I'm reading them from my server, so definitely a huge thank you to you, Mark. You killed it, mate. But by the looks of it, there's plenty of questions for people to read through, but I physically can't for this video because I will run out of time. Like, we're probably edging 20 minutes as it is. I want to just thank everyone for watching. So, my overall thoughts right now are, I think this is relatively good news. I saw nothing that was an immediate turn-off or bad news, besides maybe little interiors coming to the map. But aside from that, it seemed relatively good. And they basically said it's either not coming, or it's coming. And there was no like, oh yeah, this is a bad thing that we're adding. Like, I didn't see anything here that screamed, oh great, they're adding that. Most of it was just like, oh, I wish they would add that. Or yay, they added that. So yeah, I think big things are cheats, combat overhaul sounds good, and the fact that the DLC pack apparently is more in line seriously with the earlier games, according to that little statement we got, opposed to basically just being exactly like the main game is for the DLC. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. God damn, that hurt my voice to record.